Long form usually refers to a form called the herald, even though there are many variants of long form. But in general, it refers to taking a single suggestion, group free associates on and creates a quilt work, a patchwork of scenes. But the scenes themselves are often very short and get interrupted, what's called editing, and lead to a larger theatrical picture. Short form is more commonly associated with, here's a scene. The scenes in short form are longer than the scenes in long form, because you will have scenes that go from beginning to end and don't get interrupted by an edit. And I have seen horrendous long form where, to some extent, the bar is easier on long form to get started, because scenes get what's called edited, which means the scene starts, it only goes a little bit into it, and somebody walks in front of the scene, and a new scene begins. And so you don't necessarily even need to know how to take a scene from beginning to end.
When I learned the long form, I actually found it really, really challenging, because I had seen long form before, and I had no idea that there were certain structures. Like the first time I learned about the Herald, which was last year, my mind was blown.
Long-form improv gives you the opportunity to create an entire story. Short form tends to be obviously short and a lot of games involved, and you're not necessarily able to develop a scene or a story or even a relationship for that matter.
People seem to have this impression that short form is nothing but jokes and long form is the serious stuff.
There's a lot of talk about the games, and I think that's used all over the field of improv. These small improvisational structures, like fill in the blanks, we don't even call them games. We don't want to call them games because we don't want the approach to be gamey. We want the approach to be scenic. That game, if you will, is a device to have the audience have a little bit more fun with what we're doing, to incorporate them into the scene.
When I'm doing short form, I feel like I pull more from my stand-up side of my brain. I am going for the joke faster. I am trying to be more clever. I am doing more things to, in a fast way, drive the action to find an entertaining quality as fast as possible when I'm doing short form.
I think long form, because you're not looking for a punchline or a finish or a joke in the scene, you have that freedom to kind of settle in with things a little bit and allow the humor of what's real and truthful to come out. And of course, that's always the funniest stuff, I think.
And I'm trying. That's all I have. I don't have any more.
Good.
I tried doing churches and steeples, but it's way too much work.
Looks like a pop-up.
Dude, I was hoping I would never see you again. You know.
I just figured a visit here and we could hold hands instead of talking to your hand this time.
Bigger gestures! They're not fighting. Throw an animal with them.
I've only got 10 fingers. I don't know what kind of...
People that only do short form, it's like you see a lot of the same things over and over, I find. If you watch Whose Line Is It Anyway, you get that guy's played a lot of angry dads. He's played a lot of bank robbers. It's more made up in long form than it is in short form.
That third person. Tell me why you're gay.
But what I like about what's often called long form is the idea of savoring time on stage, savoring the connection between the different characters, and being able to act. I think in short form, sometimes it's hard as someone who also is an actor to use those chops, to feel some emotion, to make connections, to understand and develop a relationship. It's nice to have the luxury of the time to really be able to explore and not just make the audience laugh, but move them in a lot of different ways. I just saw an amazing improvised hour show, 2 guys on stage the whole time, and it was hilarious, and there were also parts that almost brought a tear to my eye because they were just so honest and really explored the range of human emotion besides just crazy, let's do something funny.
I have an issue with it because I think most shows that only do long form, a lot of them are boring. I mean, not everyone. Sometimes there are skilled people who can really pull it off, but I think that's far and few between. And I think that an audience has a lot of fatigue.
Somebody did a really good job of like selling long form as something other in improv. And those of us who've been around a long time go, you know, good improv is good improv, whether it's a long form or it's a short piece, you know. It's really the same skills, and whether you do it authentically and with and honestly and, you know, all that stuff, and not just going for the joke, depends on the performer, really.
I don't think it's ever valid for any one person that's in an art form to look down on someone else that's in a different art form. For me, I don't think that, I'm probably in a third camp on the whole thing. I just think they're different. You know, I do short form. I mean, I got picked to, there was like a short form comedy show called World Cup Comedy that I got picked out of a bunch of people, and it was pure straight up short form. You know, you do the songs, you play the games, straight up short form. And I do long form. You know, like I said, I've studied at Second City. I've gone through Upright Citizens Brigade. I've learned a lot of things from Chicago City Limits through the years just by being around people that were from that program. And I don't think of them as the same, me. I mean, I think there's things that I use in both. You know, there's certain aspects, but it's like I'm also a stand-up comic, but I don't think of stand-up and improv as the same either.
We thought, well, let's combine the two, because sometimes, you know, it's almost like a variety plate. Again, so we would do a first act that was all games and things to warm the audience up, and we'd often do callbacks then in our sort of second act long form, which was more like 20 minutes, half an hour kind of thing. And so we kind of were a hybrid of both things.